This next case study was somebody who, when I saw the house, actually Ted and I went together, we were both shocked that they came to say, can you redo our kitchen? And we walked into this home, we both thought, this kitchen is amazing. They had just bought the home, it was a couple, and their kids were moved out. And this kitchen was small, but they had very beautiful countertops. It was a leather finished granite, very high-end custom cabinets. You'll see them in some of the pictures. And we thought, why are you redoing it? And to kind of jump ahead to one point, it's that they were able to either reuse, sell, or donate all of the materials from the old design. But it wasn't so much the design of the materials as it was the use of the space. So they came to us because the way they used the space, they wanted to entertain, and most of you know you entertain in the kitchen, where people extend from the kitchen, and you'll see this kitchen was very closed off from the rest of the house. So
yeah, and I think just to add to that, I think that when you have an approach where you hire a designer to come in and help, design a space, they're looking at one solution, trying to help figure out how to kind of pull and replace things. And so when they bought this home, it had just been renovated, and you'll see some of the mistakes that were made or opportunities that weren't utilized, and that's what they were really asking us to help look at.
So this first picture is a picture of the entire home, and then we're going to focus in on just the part that we've worked on.
Yeah, so as you can see, I'll give you a quick lay of the land here. This is the garage, and they pull the cars in this way. This is a little wall outside. It only comes about, it's a masonry wall about this high. And so you walk into a little courtyard. This is a deck, and you come in their front door here. So when you come in, you walk right into a closet, and you have a choice to go right or left. If you go left, you come into the kitchen. This area right here is pretty wide, and it's basically a hallway getting from the garage to the rest of the house. Just to note, too, this dotted line here is actually a skylight, so it's going to be a little confusing. It's not an island. That's a skylight. So what they had done, this is the refrigerator. The sink is tucked in the corner with that existing window there. The range was here. This little, I don't even know what to call it, a little peninsula shoved on a corner of a wall just to be able to have some storage space. This is a angled walk-in pantry. And then the doorway right here, separating the kitchen from the dining room, is very narrow. You'll see a picture a little later. It actually looks sort of like a barn. You might picture on a barn, clipped corners. This dotted line right here represents all the ceilings in here are flat until you get into this area, and it's a vaulted ceiling. So that's just denoting where the change in ceiling takes place. This right here is the dining room, their great room. This was an office space. You'll see we're really not going to show much of the work we did over here for this example, but we closed this door off and made that a master closet, remodeled the powder room, remodeled their stairs. So we did some other work, but what you will see is in here we converted this kind of clumsy closet into a wet bar.
That's just the focus of the existing floor plan. We're going to look at this from this point forward. So we're going to start with concept one.
So in concept one, and again, their goal was to open the space up. Their children were grown, moved out, so they were more interested in entertaining for themselves, and then whenever they had parties. So they really wanted a spot where the two of them could sit and have breakfast together and eat. So, but have it very open, because back here, these windows are floor to ceiling in this great room. Tons of natural light, an amazing view. This is all parkland. There's a nice window here and a big door, so lots of light. They wanted it to be all open. So what we did is we opened in this concept and another piece to point out, structure is very important. This is a main bearing wall, and there's another one that comes right through here. So in making adjustments to this, we had to be considerate of bearing walls. So what we did is we opened this wall up to about an 8-foot wide opening. You'll notice we added some cabinetry over along this wall. It's more like a buffet or kind of a butler's pantry. Great use of cabinets. We left the refrigerator where it was and the sink in the corner, but we have this great peninsula with seating on it and a pantry storage here. You'll notice we shortened the coat closet as well. In concept two, this opening is not quite as wide, but you'll see we also kept the coat closet fairly normal size, made room here for the built-in refrigerator, and now put the island or peninsula seating over here at this end. Sink stayed here, range here and more pantry storage. Concept 3. This one we introduced, you'll notice it's how very open this is now. You walk in and and this is a raised landing. So when you come in, you have one step down. We have a very wide opening here with an island now. We have seating on both sides. Refrigerator here. You'll notice we've moved the sink from this corner out to the island. Yep, that's the biggest change. Concept 4. We actually showed an option where we took this section of the roof and we're able to put a cathedral ceiling, but that's what those dotted lines represent. But what you'll see is we started to incorporate now almost a table into the end of the peninsula. You can get a lot more seating around it. But what you'll notice mainly here is that there are no walls here at all. All the walls have been removed.
Which of these concepts do you think the client chose? 1, 2, 3, or 4? You guys want to guess? You say 4. What do you say? 4. Right. An amazing stat
100%.
is that I'd say 85% of clients, when you show them one project that's the least on budget, and then you show them more creative, more high-end approaches, almost everybody chooses the best approach, if they can afford it. Mm-hmm. So they went with concept 4, so we're going to show you some. This is a 3D model that we made, and this is a still frame image. We use a program called Chief Architect. As you can see, it makes a very photorealistic representation of what the space is like. If you were in our office and one of our clients, we'd actually fly around the space, very much like one of those home shows you've been to, where we can see it from all angles and really have a great idea of what it's going to be like before we've even started building. Allows you to make a great decision. Now, when I flip forward to the next picture, you're going to see some changes that they actually decided to make. And one of the changes was this landing here. They decided to add a railing. They took some of the pendants that are over top of the island there, and they made a very nice chandelier, and just a couple of color changes that they made as well.
Yeah, but I think this is what we presented to them at the flyover meeting, where they got to come in and see the different design iterations.
So I'll flip back and forth.
So when we developed it further, these are some of the changes that we incorporated. You'll see we now have lamps here where the cords are hidden through the countertops. Nice chandelier here. This railing system and the island now, we have seating all 3 sides. And then we've also incorporated 2 bar stools. You can see the bases of them here at the island as well. You'll notice, too, that we moved the window out of the corner. So this is what the existing, and you can see here in the picture, those are some beautiful, brand new countertops. The tile backsplash I could do without, but the cabinets are, they're beautiful, high-end cabinets. Just the design was a little...
And what Ted was talking about, that window is very unusable unless you wanted to lean your head forward over the sink and look out it. So as we moved the sink down, we actually created a new window above the new sink that we moved down in the space.
Yeah, and you can kind of see some of the park-like setting through there as well. This was interesting this was the existing railing system. It's a normal wood, oak, standard builder grade railings. And one of the things we were able to do for them, and why we even put them in the slide, is they were interested in something a little more contemporary. So what we ended up doing is retained all of the newel posts and the railing, the banister part of it. We just simply pulled out the pickets and put in the cable system and then restained it. So we were able to save quite a bit of money for them. The new caps on the railing, we also put them up here. So you can see this was more of a beveled approach. This is that doorway, the existing doorway. So it kind of reminds me of a barn, right? The clipped corners on it. But that's as wide as that opening was to take advantage of the view out back. And this vantage point, it's very similar to where you would be standing to look at this one. Now you're standing here to give a little perspective. It's very, very close to where Here's an interesting piece. This was a Juliet balcony. We're in that great room area. And so, of course, we incorporated the railings to open it up as well. One of the things to point out here in the structural work that we were doing, we found once we were on site that when we took this wall down, the corner of this Juliet balcony was being held by a beam that was sitting on top of the floor surface and buried in the wall. So that Juliet balcony was actually hung from underneath of it. That was something we felt we should have figured out before we got started, but we didn't. So when we found it, we ended up creating, at our cost and not to the clients, we created a hidden steel girder. It's an angled bracket that bolts into one of the new beams we put in here to support that Juliet balcony.
And that's actually a picture of me at the second meeting. So after Ted and I had a chance to meet with the client, they decided to move forward with us. Our first step is what we call a feasibility study, determining what's possible. And this is what's called our kickoff meeting, where we're coming out, measuring the space, taking pictures, asking them about any additional things they want to add. And the client said, while you're here, could you also look at doing something with the fireplace? So that's me pointing up at the fireplace saying, do you want to consider stone? And maybe we could put your TV up there too. So right next to it, that's actually the 3D image we created of how the TV could be. And you can see that's the actual image of the fireplace. And the only difference is he decided not to go with a mantle. And then that's also me in the bottom left, looking at this closet and saying, how do you use the closet? And it's not really a coat closet because that was where you walked into the home. So this closet was not being utilized. And we said, what if we put a bar in? And you can actually see the bar we created in that closet space that was there before.
We think it was somebody had a TV built in there or something, odd spot.
And this just gives you the perspective. This is standing just off the edge of the landing when you come in, just that completely open floor plan across from the kitchen through what now is kind of a combined kitchen dining room and into the great room.
And one of the things I'll point out, and you may or may not notice, but hidden in the ceiling up in here and then also across here are two significant beams. But the fact that the ceiling is flush and you have no idea that they're there is a pretty neat engineering trick. But very open. You can see these tall windows back here in the back corner. The amount of natural light now is, amazing.
And in summary, for designers, we love designers because they work for us and we're a design build firm. But we recommend the approach a lot of people take is to go out independently, find a designer, and then have the designer put together plans and then bring those plans to bid out for work. So the challenge in that is the fee that you pay a designer is independent of the fee you're going to pay the builder. In our approach, any fee that you pay us for a design is part of what we call our feasibility study agreement, and it gets applied towards the construction investment. And plus, we're not limited to just one design. We give you multiple design concepts to consider, as you've seen in the plans we've gone over so far. And we're going to give you a firm fixed price investment, not just kind of off-the-cuff randomness of how most designers work.
And I think also to note that most designers think in terms of, well, the walls are where they are, and they got to stay there. If you're interested in thinking about, looking at the space differently, what if walls could come out? What if they stayed? The function of it. That's when a good design build process would work really well.
And if you're curious why you keep seeing this domain at the bottom, designhelp.info, that is a shortcut to our scheduling system. So anybody who has a project you're considering, just go on there. It coordinates with my schedule, and you actually set up a time to have a conversation with me on the phone. We can talk about your project and talk about scheduling a time to meet in person.